WHOW Maroon postgame broadcast, and that player receives a certificate. Remember, ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. Find out their services by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
A sports injury takes the fun out of sports any time of year. Hi, I'm Paul Scarron, CEO of Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. All of our PT folks are trained in lots of specialties, just like a bigger facility, to get you back in the game from a sports injury, or if you're in need of any other physical therapy your doctor prescribes. We offer quality, compassionate care close to home, so don't go out of town. Come see us at the Warner Hospital and Health Services Physical Therapy Department, and we'll get you back in the game.
8 minutes after 8 o'clock here on this Friday morning. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded local newscast streaming to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. It's homecoming week in Clinton, and Police Chief Ben Lowers is reminding the homecoming parade is at 3 this afternoon. The homecoming parade takes its traditional route from the downtown Clinton Square down Illini Drive to the junior high and high school parking lots.
So the homecoming parade is Friday at 3 p.m. The route will begin near the First Christian Church there in the 200 block of West Main Street. It'll travel west down Main Street into Illini Drive and across Route 10. There, Illini Drive through the Clinton Plaza, Tractor Supply, McDonald's Road there, and then turn into the high school. Some will turn to the high school, some will go on to the junior high, but it ultimately ends there at Route 54 and Illini Drive. So always an exciting time of year. You know, you're seeing all the window things around town. A lot of the businesses have participated in that. A lot of good advertisement for the businesses, but also support for our school and our football team going into homecoming week. So exciting time for all of the high school, obviously, but also those folks that come back and visit. You know, I always enjoy homecoming week and running into a few former classmates that I don't see on a regular basis. So exciting time. So 3 p.m. I believe the street will be closed off. I believe from 2:30 it begins line up, you know, and the parade starts at 3. So
Chief Flowers is asking those who will be passing out candy as a part of the floats down the street to pass out candy from the street rather than throw it to the crowds from the floats. He says it's simply a safety request for pedestrians. The chief is also encouraging those attending homecoming Saturday night to have a good time and be safe. October 1st opens the archery deer season, and a local Department of Natural Resources official is imploring hunters to make sure those tree stands are ready for the fall. Tree stand safety is one of the most encountered issues DNR deals with when hunting season arrives. Captain Williamson says it's vital hunters make sure that stand is sturdy and those harnesses are still in good shape. He says tree stand thefts often tend to show up around the time guys start checking in on tree stands and discover one is missing, or when they get to their site for the first time on or after October the 1st. The WHOW Morning Show is streaming to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Week 4 of the high school football season is upon us. We've got to look at the matchups coming up in sports on WHOW.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too, and that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you, but our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lake shores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota,
the fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota.
We are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Illinois Army National Guard. Aired by the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. The Clinton Maroons are looking to rebound from a tough Week 3 defeat at Shelbyville when they return home to host Central A&M for homecoming in Central Illinois Conference high school football. Coach Ron Bass was disappointed in his team showing last week in a game they felt they could be competitive in. While things didn't fall their way, it wasn't all negative for the second-year coach.
Well, it's certainly a tale of two games from the week prior. I think just coming down to it was we weren't ready to play. So, and Shelbyville took advantage of Shelbyville, very good team. They did some things up front really well. I would say they were able to beat us up front, and that was apparently obvious with the score. So hats off to them. There was obviously a lot of things that we failed to do on our job. Again, hats off to them. They did some fantastic things against us, but we didn't come ready to play. So love to play them again someday, but we may have to wait until next year. You know, being down 16-0, you know, it was. I was telling the kids, I said, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you give up that safety. We would much prefer giving up the safety, play some more defense, and see what happens versus, you know, giving up a touchdown right there. And again, it's one of those things, perspective that the kids have to understand. That's a big play. I mean, regardless if we give up a safety or not, it's a big play when you give up less than 6. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where the score for the longest time wasn't as unsurmountable than what you thought, but it was one of those things where I definitely felt like, whereas in the Lincoln game, even though we were down more points, I felt like our kids' attitudes and things like that, I felt like we were more in that game than we were Shelbyville being down 16-0.
Coach Bass calls the Raiders a good group of kids and are well coached. He says his team is going to have to play disciplined football this week.
Good-looking group of kids. Talk a little bit to our kids about like watching their enthusiasm, their passion. Of course, this is a winning program, and so they know how to do it. And you know, they won't wow you with all the athletes like St. Teresa does, but you know what? They play really hard. They do what they're coached to do. You know, they get off the ball really well. Watching their offensive line, there's nobody that sticks out physically, but you know, they really get off the ball. They have a quarterback who hasn't been injured. He's probably going to play Friday night. He's a pretty good athlete as well. So, we're definitely going to have our work cut out for us, and we're going to have to play hard, but definitely a winnable game for us. But we can't have the mistakes like turning the ball over in the red zone and giving up long returns and then blowing assignments on offense and defense. Well, I think for us, most importantly, is just doing our job, and so. Offensive line-wise, we did not play well against Shelbyville. You ask any of our kids, they're all going to tell you that they didn't play as well as they would have liked. And so we got to play well up front, continue to move the ball. But when we get into the red zone, not shoot ourselves in the foot. So that's the biggest thing that's been hurting us this year. You look at the Lincoln game, you look at last week in Shelbyville, and just those turnovers at those times are just they're game beaters for you. They beat you down, and so. That's probably the number one thing. Hold on to the football defensively. Doing our job. Okay, they're gonna move the ball at times because of just how good their back is. So, weathering the storm, making them have to work for everything that they get will be key for us to have success on defense.
Despite the distractions homecoming week can often bring for a football program, Coach Bass has been pleased with practice this week and says for them, they're focusing on getting better at the things they want to do. Then they'll start to add what he calls the fun stuff. Game time tonight is 7 p.m. Hear the action on the big 1520 a.m., 92.3 FM, and 106.5 FM WHOW. Also on the many WHOW digital platforms. Tonight in the Central Illinois Conference, Decatur St. Teresa hosts Meridian. Shelbyville is at Tuscola, and Sullivan-Okaw Valley is at Warrensburg-Latham. It's among one of the bigger games on the schedule for the Monticello Sages tonight when they travel to Bloomington to take on Central Catholic in Illini Prairie Conference high school football. Monticello came away with a grinding, if not surprising, 39-6 win over Milwaukee Academy of Science last Friday night. As the Sages get back to the Illini Prairie slate, Coach Coley Welter isn't hiding it from his team. This is a big game on their schedule.
Yeah. I mean, it's yes and no to your question. I mean, I think we definitely have brought up the fact that we've beaten BCC in 3 close games, and we know they're going to be gunning for us much the way we felt like St. Joe was gunning for us in week 1, and so we're trying to emphasize to the kids that we've got to set the tone because they're going to try to set the tone on their part, and they really want this game. And like you said, with the conference being that balanced, this is a big game, and you can't hide that fact from the kids. You don't want to put pressure on them at the same time. This is a big game. So, yeah, we're trying to just emphasize coming out with, energy and intensity right off the bat, and then in the meantime, focus on what we need to do preparation-wise to be ready to play.
Central Catholic is a proud program that has fallen on hard times in recent memory, but this is a team that boasts a lot of size and athleticism. Coach Welter says the Saints will be gunning for them after a couple of close losses the last few times out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very proud program. They've been over the many years of high school football, been to the state title game, around 5 times, I think. So it's a very proud tradition. I think that 2018 year that you referred to was more of an outlier, but they did have to build back from that, and they did that very quickly. And they've been very competitive, even if they haven't been in the playoffs the last couple of years. They've been very competitive, and I know our games with them have been very competitive the last 3 years. Well, they're very balanced on offense, so they'll mix in the quick screens, and then I try to lull you to sleep with the perimeter run, and then try to hit you over the top with a big play. So you definitely have to play disciplined football. We have to play with our eyes and take care of our responsibilities. And then defensively, just constant movement on defense. Even if they're not blitzing a lot, they're moving their guys around in and out, and trying to just create chaos with movement. And so we just have to be disciplined as well, stay on our tracks, on our blocking tracks, and make our reads. And there's going to be times when they make a big play just because of the nature of their style, but we just got to stick with it and try to make them pay for that movement.
Game time tonight is 7 p.m. Hear all the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Illini Prairie Conference action tonight. Rantoul will host Prairie Central. PBL is at Pontiac, and St. Joe Ogden is at IVC. Tonight in 8-man football in Week 4, Peoria Heights plays host to Biggsville West Central on Saturday. Champaign St. Thomas More hosts Prairie City on Saturday. Decatur LSA is at Flanagan Cornell Woodland. And more Saturday action, Blue Ridge is at Salt Fork. Tonight in the Apollo Conference, Effingham is at Mantoon. Lincoln hosts Mahomet Seymour, and Mount Zion is at Taylorville. In the Big 12, Bloomington is at Danville. Champaign Centennial takes on crosstown rival Champaign Central. Normal Community is at Peoria, and Peoria Ridgewoods battles Peoria Notre Dame at Dozer Park. In the Central State 8 this week, Chatham Glenwood is at Springfield Southeast. Decatur Eisenhower takes on crosstown rival Decatur MacArthur. Jacksonville is at Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin. Normal U-High hosts Springfield Lanphier, and U-High hosts Springfield, and Lanphier is at Rochester. In the heart of Illinois this week, DMAC is at El Paso Gridley. Fieldcrest takes on Eureka. Tri-Valley hosts Tremont, and GCMS is at Leroy. Lincoln Prairie football tonight. Arcola is at Tri-County. Argenta Orienta travels to Sangamon Valley. Arthur Lovington Atwood Hammond is at Toledo Cumberland. And Sarah Gorda Bemint plays host to Villa Grove. Mid-Illini action tonight. Dunlap is at Limestone. East Peoria travels to Canton. Metamora plays host to Morton. And Washington travels to Pekin. Sangamo football tonight. Athens is at Auburn. Pleasant Plains hosts Petersburg Porta. Pittsfield is at New Berlin. Maroa Forsyth hosts Riverton. And Olympia travels to Williamsville. Non-conference football this week. Salt Fork is at Iroquois West. Hayworth hosts Nokomis. Saturday, Normal West travels to Richmond Burton. And Paris hosts Tolono Unity. Eastern Illinois and Illinois State will meet for the 110th time in the Mid-America Classic Saturday night. Jonah O'Brien threw for 2 touchdowns in a Saturday 29-10 loss to 10th-ranked Chattanooga as he passed for 183 yards for the Panthers. He's connected with 5 different receivers for touchdown passes. Last season, EIU's offense had just 8 touchdown passes for the entire season as 4 players scored with touchdown receptions when the Redbird starting running back Cole Mueller was lost to injury early in the week in the Wisconsin game. The rest of the ISU running back room knew it would need to step up to fill the void of the team's leading rusher from a year ago. Redshirt freshman Wankers Wright got the message and took the lead against Valpo as he recorded the first 100-plus yard rushing effort of his career in the victory over the Beacons. After a slow start with only 16 yards in the first half, he rallied for 85 in the final 2 quarters of the game, finishing with 101 yards on 21 carries. Those crucial yards helped the Redbirds chew up clock and hold on for a big win in the home opener. Game time is 6:30 from Hancock Stadium in Normal. Hear all the action on the big 1520 AM, 92.3 FM, 106.5 FM, WHOW, and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Elvis Andrus hit one of Chicago's 5 home runs off rookie Hunter Gaddis and backed up a pregame swipe at the Guardians as the Sox cut Cleveland's lead in the Central to 3 games with an 8-2 victory in a makeup game Thursday. Andrus connected in the 5th off Gaddis, who became the first Cleveland pitcher to allow 5 homers in a game since Luis Tiant in 1969. Gavin Sheets hit a 2-run homer in the 2nd to start Chicago's homer barrage against Gaddis. Andrew Vaughn, Yohan Moncada, and Yasmani Grandal joined Andrus by hitting solo shots off the right-hander. Lance Lynn limited the Guardians to 2 runs and 6 hits in 6 1/3 innings. He's now 5-0 in his last 7 starts. Cleveland had a 2-game win streak stopped as they began a run of 9 straight games against the Sox and Twins and the club's 2 closest pursuers in one of baseball's only tight division races. Sheets and Vaughn connected for consecutive homers in the 2nd off Gaddis, who was making his 2nd big league start. Gaddis started the inning by walking Eloy Jimenez. Then Sheets followed with his 13th home run. Vaughn fouled off 2 pitches before making it 3-0 with his 16th homer of the season. Then Moncada connected for his 10th homer in the 3rd. Grandal hit his 5th in the 4th. And Andrus, who signed with the Sox on August 19th, made it 6-1 with a leadoff shot in the 5th. Lucas Giolito, who's 4-0 in his last 7 starts a series opener in Detroit tonight opposite Matt Manning for the Tigers. Nick Senzel and Aristides Aquino hit solo home runs as the Reds beat the Cardinals 3-2 Thursday night, snapping a 6-game losing streak in the opener of a 5-game series. The loss cuts the Cardinals' lead in the National League Central to 7.5 games over the idle Brewers. St. Louis made it interesting in the 9th against rookie reliever Alexis Diaz, loading the bases with 1 out on 2 singles and a walk before pulling within a run on a sac fly by Albert Pujols, giving him 123 in his career and tying him with Hall of Famer Robin Yount for 3rd most in big league history. Since 1954, Diaz then got pinch hitter Corey Dickerson to ground out to end the game and earn his 7th save. Aquino and Spencer Steer had 2 hits for the Reds. Pujols finished 0 for 3 and is remaining at 697 career home runs, 4th on the all-time list. Miles Michaelis had allowed 4 runs or more in 3 of his last 4 starts, giving up 3 runs in 6 innings against the Reds. He allowed 6 hits, 3 walks in his 30th start of the season. Cincinnati starter Chase Anderson gave up a hit in 5 innings. He struck out 3 and walked 2. He signed a minor league contract August 27th and faced the Cardinals twice last month, giving up 8 runs, 7 were earned with 5 hits and 2 walks in 2 1/3 innings. Jack Flaherty will be facing the Reds for the first time this season and the 10th time in his career. Cincinnati has not announced a starter for tonight's game. After spending the last 3 seasons looking up at the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North standings, the Chicago Bears head to Lambeau Field in an unusual position. The 1-0 Bears lead the 0-1 Packers in the division race for the first time since 2018, when Chicago earned the NFC North title. The Bears have won the NFC North every year since and are 6-0 against Chicago in that stretch. Chicago would love to take a 2-game edge over the 3-time defending division champs by winning Sunday night, but the Bears' recent struggle in the series stemmed from their inability to slow reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers. The Packers are 23-5 against the Bears in games Rodgers has started. Rodgers appreciates the part he's played in the NFL's oldest rivalry. He's coming off a sluggish performance, going 22 of 34 for just 195 yards with no touchdown passes, a pick, and a lost fumble in a 23-7 loss at Minnesota in his first game since the trade of 2-time All-Pro receiver Devontae Adams to the Vegas Raiders. Chicago won the opener 19-10 over the Niners, causing some Bears fans to celebrate the Bears to celebrate by sliding along a rain-soaked Soldier Field. If the Bears follow that up with a victory at Lambeau, they'll have even more reason for jubilation. Bears offensive coordinator Luke Getsy worked on the Packers staff from 2014 to 2021 and was quarterbacks coach the last 2 seasons. The Bears roster includes 2 guys who played for the Packers last season, in offensive lineman Lucas Patrick and wide receiver Equanimous St. Brown. New Packers punter Pat O'Donnell spent the last 8 seasons with Chicago. The Bears beat the Niners despite gaining just 204 yards, the lowest total by any team in the season's opening week. The Packers posted their lowest point total since a 38-3 loss to the Saints in their 2021 season opener. Ty Majeski scored his first career Truck Series win Thursday night and the victory at Bristol Motor Speedway locked Majeski into the championship finale. In his 40th career start in the Truck Series, he became the first driver to earn a spot in the championship, deciding Final Four. He had a clean jump on Zane Smith to start on a restart with 12 laps remaining to cruise to victory for Toyota's Thor Sport Racing. The 28-year-old from Wisconsin ran only 4 truck races last season, desperately tried to continue his NASCAR career. It led to a full-time ride with Thor Sport for this year and now a shot at the series championship. Bristol marked the opening race of the round of 8 in the Truck Series playoffs. Smith finished second after starting at the back of the field. Parker Kligerman finished third, followed by Grant Enfinger, Matt Crafton, and Derek Kraus. The Truck Series races next on October 1st at Talladega. Bubba Wallace regained the lead with 43 to go and stayed out front the rest of the way, outrunning his car owner, Denny Hamlin, at Kansas as the Cup Series playoffs round of 16 concludes this week at Bristol Motor Speedway. Wallace's victory was the second of his career and the second in as many races won by a driver that did not qualify for the playoffs. Eric Jones won a week earlier at Darlington. The 500-lap marathon is at 6:30 Saturday evening. The Xfinity Series races tonight at 6:30 at Bristol. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Getting your pet's needed medications is easy with Covenant Animal Clinic in Clinton.
Yes, very convenient, especially because I live in Bloomington. It always gets delivered right to your door.
I've used the online pharmacy. It's so easy.
Click the Covenant Animal Clinic icon at DeWittDailyNews.com to learn more.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Is there anything better than just sitting outdoors enjoying nature? Well, I guess this chair could be a recliner. That'd be better. But there definitely wouldn't be anything better than that. Unless, of course, the recliner had one of those fancy built-in massagey things. Oh, and a bacon skillet.
There's always a better way to do things. With triple stacked Enlist E3 varieties for proven performance, Zetavo soybean seed is seed done right. Zetavo from MS Technologies is distributed exclusively by BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
Complaint that he's engaging in a political stunt. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis vows to continue sending